Okay, Chair, you're live on YouTube whenever you're ready.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the December meeting of the Adult Social Care and Services Scrutiny Panel. We'll go straight ahead with the agenda. Have we any apologies for absence, please, Chris?
Yes, Chair. We've received apologies from Councillors Higgins and Purvis.
Thank you. Have we got any declarations of interest from anyone? I don't see any hands, so we'll take it as a no. Thank you. Item number 3, minutes of the last meeting on the 10th of November. Can we have members to agree that they're correct?
I agree, Chair.
Yeah. Thank you. Now, on to item 4, and we have Eric with us today to give us a quick update on what's going on in the adult social care. Over to you, Eric.
I'm going to be very quick this morning, Chair. I think I have nothing additional to add in regard of health and social care integration since the last time we spoke. That was quite recent. Although I note that there's representation from the future integrated care system coming to the the South Tees Health and Wellbeing Board to provide an update tomorrow. So I would anticipate that Mayor Preston, as our lead member, will be present at the Health and Wellbeing Board tomorrow, and so we'll be in a better position to provide an update following that meeting tomorrow. And I think that's probably all I have to say on it this morning, Chair.
That's fine, Eric. Thank you. We're going to item number 5, which is the main item of our meeting today. And it's a draft final report for the equipment and retention of staff within the adult social care. I'm going to, first of all, thank you for Chris for producing this report. I'm going to hand over to Chris to give a brief overview of the report. Chris.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So I'll briefly take the panel through the report this morning, which members have contributed to on an informal basis between meetings. But obviously, this is now the finalised draft as it currently stands. So the aim of the review was to examine the recruitment and retention of staff within adult social care, essentially in relation to fieldwork staff. So that was social workers and social care workers predominantly. And that was because it was this area of activity where the recruitment and retention issues had been identified. The information provided and secondary evidence gathered has been presented under the 4 underpinning terms of reference, which are detailed in the report, and that they run from paragraphs 13 through to 50. In terms of the conclusions that has arisen on the back of all the information that's been provided, the conclusions are shown at paragraphs 51 to 55, and I'll just briefly run through those. There are 4 of them, and the first one is, so this is a complex issue that is facing local authorities nationally, although there is an acute shortage of social workers within the North East. Through a multitude of varying factors, including an ageing workforce, COVID-19 and increasing challenges to the profession, issues regarding recruitment and retention have come to the forefront. Unfortunately, it appears that there's no quick fix solution to addressing the issues that have been raised. Second conclusion is that remuneration packages are not the only concern in addressing the recruitment and retention issues. It seems that training opportunities and career progression are as equally important to prospective social workers as well. Conclusion number 3, in order to meet the challenges as described in the report, changes may be required to the current structure of the adult social care department. In terms of partnership and collaborative working, this is crucial in addressing some of the issues raised in terms of staff shortages and maximising those shared resources. So with regards to next steps, assuming that members are happy with the content of the report, the panel now needs to determine recommendations that it would like to take forward to initially Overview and Scrutiny Board for formal ratification, and then subsequently to the Executive for consideration. So following the informal meeting that the panel held a couple of weeks ago, to discuss the content and the progress of the report. Some suggestions with regards to potential recommendations have been made. Now, Chair, there's two ways we can proceed with this. I can share a document which details all of those recommendations that have been put forward, or if members would like to raise the points that they've forwarded to me independently, that could open up the discussion as well. So it just depends which way you'd like to do it, Chair.
I think if we share it, Chris, and everybody can see it on screen, and if you go through each one in order, you have it. And then at the end, if we ask questions at the end, rather than each individual one. Now, if somebody does want to raise one, would you prefer, I'm asking you as a panel now, would you prefer to raise it at each one, or would you prefer to leave it at the end? Anybody, any thoughts on that?
It's to the end of your mouth, I think, Chair.
No. Okay, Chris, just go through them all and we'll talk about it at the very end. Thank you
Okay.
for that.
Share that now, Chair. Okay. Can everybody see that all right? Would you like me to zoom in a bit?
Can you just expand it a little bit, Chris, for everybody to see? That's great. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So as I say, these potential recommendations have come on the back of the discussion that the panel held informally and what I've received from panel members in the interim period. So potential recommendation number 1, that exploratory work regarding the introduction of a one-off financial incentive payment termed a golden hello be undertaken with human resources. So consideration to be given to the payment amount, the terms and conditions, and the potential impact upon the existing staff as well, because panel members are acutely aware really that if that was to be introduced, the existing staff wouldn't necessarily receive that. So work would be completed by mid-22. Potential recommendation 2, that exploratory work regarding the introduction of a recruitment and retention payment continue to be undertaken with human resources. Introduction of this payment would need to be in alignment with the Council's existing policies and other similar structures within the authority, for example, children's services. Work to be completed by mid-22. Just to reiterate that work continues to be undertaken because the panel were advised that that work has commenced already. Potential recommendation 3, that further consideration be given to the restructuring of adult social care to incorporate a larger number of social care workers and examine the roles of social workers and occupational therapists. Exploratory work to be undertaken with regards to roles, again the impact on existing staff and their terms and conditions, salary column grading, and clear routes for career progression. Update to be provided to the panel by autumn-winter 22. Potential recommendation 4, that work be carried out to determine the financial impact of utilising a managed agency team for a short-term period, for example 12 months, in order to assist with the current staffing pressures. Potential recommendation 5, that consideration be given to undertaking activities which raise awareness and promote the role of social work within Middlesbrough Council. Specific work could be carried out with Teesside University, obviously that being the most local to us, to encourage students to remain in Middlesbrough and apply for roles at the council once completing their degree. Online events could also be offered to provide information and frequently asked questions opportunities with current social workers. Update to be provided to the panel by autumn-winter 22. Potential recommendation 6, that in order to raise awareness of the roles of social workers and social care workers, an online learning module be created and implemented on Middlesbrough Learns for all elected members and council staff. This could provide a route into a potential refer a friend scheme. Work to be completed by autumn-winter 22. Finally, potential recommendation 7, that in order to assist with addressing the current staffing and recruitment pressures being experienced by both the council and its partner agencies, effective communications be established with statutory and non-statutory partners in relation to the coordination and maximisation of available resources. Work to be completed by spring/summer 22. That's what we have at the moment, Chair.
Okay, thank you for that, Chris. I have maybe I can answer my questions. All these works to be completed by mid 2022, autumn or winter 2022. Can we get it done quicker, right? Because obviously you have a problem with social workers at the moment, and we need to get it sorted out as quick as possible.
Yes, I think is the easy answer. I think looking at the recommendations, there's nothing there that I'm uncomfortable with. It's all helpful. The time for the work around consideration of recruitment and retention payments of Golden Hello, and that's underway at the minute. I took a paper to the council's leadership team for a discussion, and I'll be going back in the next, I can fit it around Christmas, back in the next couple of weeks for some further consideration. So I anticipate that we'll have that work done far before mid 2022. The only things that I would kind of comment on, I think, in the recommendations is the recommendation where it talks about exploring the potential for restructuring within social care. I mean, that's something that we will do. I think the way it was worded in the recommendation, it said with a view to, it's not in front of me now, but with a view to recruiting more social or a higher percentage of social care workers. I think I would be inclined to leave that a little bit more open. I think we need to look at recruitment, retention, payments, Golden Hellos if we're going to do that, and then the sort of a form follows function approach to that restructuring. So it might look a bit different, but the principle of exploring restructuring, that's something we will do. And then the final recommendation, I was a little bit unclear about how I saw that, because it was about establishing effective communications with partners in order to maximise resources. There are a number of already established work streams, bits of work across the Northeast, looking at future needs around workforce, and we're engaged in some of those already. And I think it's potentially about just making sure that those have the priority that they need, rather than inventing something new. But other than that, I'm comfortable with all of the recommendations, and I think the timescales will, in practice, I mean, I'm comfortable with the timeframes that you've given me, but I expect that the work will be done much more quickly.
Thank you. We'll take questions. I must emphasise that we want to agree on these today because they're important and we want to get it through as quick as possible. But I see Councillor Rooney there, Denise.
Thanks, Chair. 2 points, and I think Eric's already answered one, but on point 4, this was about the agency staff. Isn't that just down to a director's discretion? We don't need to be able to do that. And I'm just wondering whether it's appropriate to put that in there. And the second point, unless I've missed it, was there anything in there about the advertising and promotion of what our staff do? Because we talked at length about how we promote the good work that they do and promote how well or how good an employer Middlesbrough Council is. So aside from all of the, the financial benefits, the things about what it means to work for Middlesbrough Council and how well supported you are when you get here. And I know we did have a discussion about that. If it's in the report and I've missed it, then I apologise, but I don't think I specifically saw that.
Do you want to answer that, Eric or Chris?
I think probably the issue of whether or not I suppose the way I'm approaching this scrutiny investigation is that anything that we can do collectively to highlight the activities or to highlight the challenges within adult social care and to raise profile, it's all grist to the mill. It's all really useful. So everything about this is really helpful for me already. It raises profile. I suppose in principle that examination of the costs associated with a managed service and the decision about whether or not we put it in, that certainly, if assuming that the cost is within my financial authority, then that sits with me. Otherwise, it is a management decision for LMT if it's greater than my financial authority. But I've no objection to that being in there as a recommendation. But I suspect that my answer to it will simply be we will respond to that in through normal management lines. So I guess it's going to happen whether it's in as a recommendation or not, and that's your call. I think it would be probably is useful to kind of strengthen something about the advertising and the raising the profile for adult social care. I'd support that.
Answer your question, Denise?
Yeah, thanks. I mean, is that okay, Chris, to expand on that? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Walker?
Thank you very much, Chair. 1 second, I'll just lower the hand. Thank you. Right. Yeah, I'm just curious about, you know, this golden hello at the very beginning. I think it's already being done, isn't it, in children's services? Am I wrong on that? There is already encouraging payments there.
If I may, Chair, that's correct. Within children's services, they already have an arrangement around a golden hello. I think they call it something slightly different, but yes, they do have that in place. So we would be looking to fall in line with that. Yeah,
and it's a bit. I mean, I must admit, I'm wondering how existing staff feel about that, because it is quite a large payment, isn't it, to encourage people. I know maybe I'm wrong to say that, but I just wonder about the existing staff's feelings as well. Do we do a that's what worries me slightly on golden hellos, etc. So if I just want to make that point, you know, sorry. But yeah.
If I may answer that, Chair, I think the best approach to dealing with issues of remuneration is to be able to raise salary, because it's clean and tidy. That I don't think is within any of our gifts, certainly not within mine. And so we look to the practical tools we have in order to address the issue. And recruitment and retention payments, the struggle is you've got to be able to evidence quite a high level of pressure and difficulty in recruitment and high turnover for those staff groups that you apply it to. And almost inevitably, there will be groups adjacent to those or peripheral to those who don't meet the test. And so the challenge for me at the minute is finding something that provides an incentive for the people that we are short of, but doesn't effectively turn into a disincentive for some of the others. And that's a challenging line to walk. Sometimes, you know, when you look at our salary structures as an authority, the application of a recruitment and retention payment for one staff group means that in practice they're paid more than their supervisors, potentially. But the supervisor's grade doesn't meet the criteria for the payment. And there's a bit of that I'm scratching my head with at the minute. And that was part of the discussion that we dealt with, or that we opened when I took a paper to LMT last time. And that's an ongoing conversation at the minute. So I think, you know, if there is any delay in me applying anything here, it's trying to establish how we do it to recognise the needs across the piece. Our staff have worked incredibly hard through the pandemic. Yeah. I don't want them to feel I'm kicking them when they're down to some extent by applying a recruitment and retention payment to some other staff groups. That's the challenge.
I think it's feeling, I think I would imagine some staff would feel undervalued in that respect, because of, you know, oh, well, new staff are going to get this, you know, we've been here all this time, we've gone through all this, and yet here we are. You know,
and I think we fall in line with transparent organizational processes. Mm-hmm. and we have to be able to explain to everyone why we are treating a particular cohort in a particular way.
Yeah.
But that doesn't control how that lands with them or how that feels with them. That's the bit we need to be very careful about.
Well, that's something you're going to have to deal with when and if and when it happens, right?
Absolutely.
Thanks very much. And the other point I'd like to make, I have seen something on Facebook recently, a young person advertising about social work in Middlesbrough. So I could be wrong on that. Is it through the Middlesbrough website, or I've seen something on Facebook extolling the virtues of working as social care in Middlesbrough. So I think that's already actually happening, isn't it? So
I think there are pockets of work going on across adults and children's services about how we raise the profile. I think we just need to make sure that we're doing that at scale. I think that reflects the scale of the challenge, and I don't think we're there yet, Councillor.
Yeah. Okay. I've got nothing else to add at the moment. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Jeanette. I see Councillor Cooper got your hand up. David?
Yes, thanks, Chair. Just to go on from Councillor Walker and from Councillor Rooney, we have to be very careful that we don't alienate, if you like, some current members of staff. That I'm sure that you absolutely on this, but we've, by curing one problem, we're going to cause other ones. Obviously, if people, we need to attract these people, we need to attract good people to Middlesbrough. But if that causes problems elsewhere, are we just kicking the can down the road? I think, I'm sure you're looking at that, but it would just be my concern, because obviously we have to pay the staff what they're worth, perhaps more than they're worth, but we've really got to give these people the monies that they deserve for these sort of positions.
I don't think we run the risk of paying them more than they're worth. I think I've previously given my sense of what I think they're worth. I think we have a very good staff group, and I think we work in very challenging situations, and even before we consider the pandemic. I think you're quite right. The challenge that you articulate, Councillor, is exactly the challenge that we face at the minute, and we're very aware of it.
Thank you, David. Anyone else, any questions? Before I forget, I spoke to the people up at just along Middlesbrough Group, and they are willing to put a spread on about the equipment of social workers and that. If you want to get in touch with them, or you want me to get in touch with them, their next episode is out in February, but they're willing to do something for us, so it's worthwhile.
Thank you, Chair. I can pick up on that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Any questions before we move on? No, I haven't. Right. So, can we agree to these recommendations? Anybody not agree with them? No hands up. So these recommendations now will be added to the report, and the report will be forwarded to the OSB for approval before it is submitted to the executive for consideration. Thank you to everyone who's contributed for this.
Okay, Chair, could I just say?
Yes, actually, go ahead.
Just to say thank you very much. I think from my perspective, this has been really useful and constructive as a piece of scrutiny work. I think Chris has done a really good job at pulling the report together. So I'm a happy chap. And with your permission, Chair, I'm going to drop out now because I'm endeavouring to be in two places at once at the minute.
That's fine. Right, we're here to help you as much as possible. Right, we want our adult social care to be the best in the country. So thank you for your attendance, and happy Christmas and a happy New Year to you.
And to yourselves. Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 6, which is overview of the Scrutiny Board update. The meeting was held yesterday, and the following matters were considered: Executive Forward Programme Work Programme, Executive Member Attendance at OSB, Executive Member for Environment and Finance and Governance, the Chief Executive's update, the Scrutiny Chair's update, and the Economic Development, Environment and Infrastructure Scrutiny Panel final report, Middlesbrough's regeneration post-COVID-19. Right, that's all I have. So, Chris, we're going to put forward those recommendations. Is that right? And we all agree, and I'd like to thank everyone. The date of our next meeting is the 5th of January. I have no other urgent items. Anyone else have? Well, it's a short meeting today, but I'd like to wish everyone a happy Christmas.
Chair,
Sorry, Jeanette, go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to say thanks to Chris and also the services as well. That Chris has helped with a lot of stuff. That he comes up with the research and everything that helps us to do our job properly. And I'd also like to offer him our thanks very much from the panel. And if you don't mind, we can do that. So thanks very much, Chris, for all the work you do on our behalf as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Even with
you've done it for me, Jeanette. So thank you, everybody. I wish you all a very happy Christmas and a happy New Year, and we'll see you all in January. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, Chair. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Jim.
Could you send me a file there, Jim and Chris?